Welcome to one more edition of the webinars planned for your benefit by the three Jamnabai Narsi schools under the umbrella of the Narsi Monji Educational Trust. There's no point being stressed about things beyond our control. And while we are safe within the walls of our homes, amidst loved ones, we appreciate the effort made by Trustee Shri Sujay Jairaj to continue to offer the opportunity to nurture our intellect, body, and soul via the enriching webinars offered through the Jamnabai Narsi Education Series. I'd like to remind the attendees here today that you are encouraged to send in your questions using the question answer feature here. When you do, please remember to mention the age of your child, and a moderator will present as many of these questions as possible to our speakers. I, Sonali Gandhi, am your host, and I'm very excited to introduce the moderator for this afternoon, who will in turn introduce our speakers. Ms. Sherry Gomes Gupta is a contributing editor to the magazine Vogue. She is a travel and yoga enthusiast, and in her article published in February 2020, 7 Ways to Bring Happiness into Your Hectic Daily Life, she clearly indicates how important she considers food and nutrition. Inculcating good eating habits with good nutrition, she believes, is important for both a healthy body as well as a healthy mind. Her passionate determination to ensure that the guidelines about the same are made available to all concerned parents, particularly at this time of lockdown, has resulted in giving shape to the webinar this afternoon. So without any further ado, over to you, Sherry.
Thanks, Sonali. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Sonali. That was a really nice, welcoming intro. So I'm going to dive right into the session, as I know everyone, all the other parents out here are also worried about the mental and physical health of their kids, as I am. Let me just introduce our speakers for today. We have Suman Agarwal, who is not just an award-winning author, but she's also written several best-selling books, including Super Kids. And she also has her own center called Self-Care. And she's joined today by her daughter, Juhi, who is a clinical nutritionist. And yeah, hi guys, thank you for being here.
Hi, Sherry. Thank you so much for your invite, and I hope we can share good knowledge which can help all the parents and the kids of Jamnabai School.
Yeah. Should we just dive into the questions? And so given the current situation, what are the key vitamins and nutrients kids across all age groups should have to support their immunities?
So we talk about supporting immunity only through food, but first of all, we need to understand that lifestyle is a major factor for having good immunity. And out of that too, which is sleep. No matter how good food you eat and whatever vitamins you take, if your child or you don't sleep for 7 to 8 hours, it is going to compromise your immunity. And second most important thing is that having meals on time, like having 4 proper meals, breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner, with 4-hour gap. Your gapping also cannot be more, because that will again compromise your immunity. Nevertheless, there are foods and vitamins which help you, especially the vitamins, I'll tell you, which we believe supports the immunity is vitamin C, all know, vitamin D, zinc, and selenium. And if I'm forgetting, vitamin A. These are, we believe, that really support your immunity. And there are certain food which are rich in these. So if you don't want to give a supplement for the same, which we discourage children to take in any case, is if a child takes vitamin C rich foods are like oranges.
And so vitamin C is it's an antioxidant. So what it does is it scavenges all the free radicals in your body. So that's why there's always a lot of news around vitamin C in like the media, where people are like, oh, you have to have vitamin C rich food. So we just wanted to tell you what vitamin C rich foods are. So there is, you get, of course, there's oranges. That's the first thing people go to, right? But also vegetables vegetables do contain a lot of vitamin C. So there are red bell peppers or broccoli that does contain vitamin C. Another fruit is kiwi. Now, then let's talk about.
So vitamin C is
Yeah.
there. And if your child is underweight and does a lot of activity, you can give a glass of orange juice. But vitamin C is also very unstable. So it gets oxidized in the air. So if you're planning to give your child a glass of juice, don't like take out the juice and keep in the refrigerator and give it later. You have to give it immediately. There's one other Indian very old fruit called gooseberry, which is amla, which is very rich in vitamin C, which is great. So you can always give that. Okay. Then now, and if you want to give a supplement, it's up to you. But yeah, around 40 to 100 mg a child requires, and which can come in 2 to 3 oranges in a day. Now about vitamin A. Vitamin A is found in usually all the orange and green leafy vegetables, orange and yellow variety.
Carrots.
Yeah.
Carrots, spinach. So vitamin A does help. So particularly vitamin A has been researched in a lot of studies to show that it helps helps the mucus or the goblet cells in your respiratory system function well. So someone who is vitamin A deficient will show signs of lower immunity in terms of contracting respiratory illnesses or gastrointestinal diseases like diarrhea very quickly. So make sure your child's also getting a lot of vitamin A rich food. So carrots, particularly.
Like a finger food in between.
Between, like carrot sticks.
Or mangoes,
Yeah.
spinach, and pumpkin vegetable. So introduce these orange color fruits in your child's diet, which is very important, which is vitamin A. Now, even yolk, eggs.
Yeah,
Eggs also have
dairy.
very rich in vitamin A, and milk, dairy also. Then we have zinc. Zinc is quite, it's also an antioxidant, super antioxidant, and foods which are rich in zinc are nuts and seeds and whole grains, and of course meat and eggs. Yeah. So zinc is, so to absorb vitamin C properly, you need zinc, right?
Yeah.
So, and it is important for growth. So Juhi will explain more about the.
So it's just a like zinc just helps with your growth, your immunity, and your reproductive system. So it helps with all of these. And zinc we do get with a lot of foods. So we just need to make sure, like all of these vitamins and minerals we're talking about right now, we're naming specific foods. But actually, if you go back and see our traditional Indian diet, we have all of these involved in it. Now, the only issue is now us, like even me growing up, we'd always want to jump to burgers, pizzas, all of that, as compared to eating a dal chawal at home. So something you could possibly do for your kids is keep few days for like maybe twice a week where you make something fancy at home for them to like make them feel like, okay, they're getting their pizzas and burgers and stuff, which are homemade. And the rest of the days you could possibly give them foods which are more which include all of these vegetables. At the same time, they're like more based towards our Indian traditional diet.
So these are the vitamins basically. And vitamin D we did not speak about. So vitamin D has taken a center stage in last few years. I have been talking about vitamin D deficiency in people exact 12 years ago, and I've been making all my clients test vitamin D. Especially for children, vitamin D deficiency can also stunt their growth because vitamin D absorbs the calcium from your diet and helps you to, of course, the bone growth. So, but it's also involved in the immunity part and also the hormones. A lot of hormones are dependent on vitamin D. So it's very, very important to make sure your child vitamin D levels are always above 30, which is the thing. So make sure that is also included. We get vitamin D from the sun, since we are all homebound, and the sun rays are actually nowadays very good because of no jet circulating overhead. So though we were exposed to the sun, even the child is exposed to the sun, but in metro cities, the vitamin D is not really available to you because of the UV rays are not able to reach your skin to convert them into vitamin D. So certain food which are rich in vitamin D are egg yolks or unpasteurized milk and meats or the liver of the animal. But mostly if you're deficient, you have to depend on a tablet or like the course of vitamin D, which you need to ask your nutritionist and a doctor basically.
Okay, great. Next is what foods must be included in their daily diet, especially now, to maintain both physical as well as mental calm, physical health and mental calm. So what are the foods you think they must include, and also what are the foods they must avoid? Because there are some, I mean, we've often spoken about how foods affect our moods, correct? So, yeah.
So,
One thing I think that all the parents should know is that you shouldn't, when you're trying to include the foods that will be discussing now, always know that you have to explain it to your children in a way that not sort of facilitate and tell them, no, you have to have this because it's good for you, but actually sit and explain the benefits to them. Because right now everybody is on social media, has access to the internet, they all have phones and laptops. So they Google anything and everything and find out the actual reasoning behind it, and then will come and tell you.
you need
So,
to give scientific
yeah,
explanation.
give
behind
them
everything.
explanation and explain why these foods are not good for them, or why they should limit it, and what foods they should include in their diet. So,
According to
yeah.
me, what is most important in child's diet is for the growth is, I have always believed, is milk and milk products. So milk and curd or paneer. Cheese is my last option to give it to a child. So if a child is below the age of 9, between 6 to 9, they require 600 ml of milk in their daily diet in whichever form they like. And 9 to 15 or 9 to 13 is around uh, it, between 600 to 800. And if the male child generally requires between 700 to a liter, and a female can require between 700 to 900 thereabout. So it's very, very important. Milk is actually why I believe so much in milk, is because it's the whole food. It has protein, it has fat, and it has carbohydrates. It's a meal in a glass. So it's very, very important to make sure that milk is firmly placed in breakfast and their evening snacks, and then maybe one meal with curd or paneer you can give. So this is the way you need to place your milk. If your child is lactose intolerant, you can definitely try giving lactose free milk, or you can try giving curd or paneer, which are better absorbed. So that is another way. We also, if you are worried about the pesticides and adulterated milk, you can of course go for organic milk, which is now available in the market, especially as staying in metro cities like Mumbai. So these are that is very, very important. Now
Should
comes
we give them an overview about
yeah.
what a balanced diet would be?
No, so then the next thing comes up after the milk is secondly, you know, I have seen that a lot of parents think that and milk is also very calming. So if a child drinks a glass of milk at night, they get very good sleep. So for your mental calmness also. Second thing, I believe that a lot of parents think that a child needs a lot of protein to grow, which is actually not really important. Protein will come if you are giving your child 800 ml of milk. As it is, you're meeting their requirements of protein if you're giving enough carbs and at least some dal or chicken or eggs in the day. But what is important is carbohydrates for kids, because carbs are important so that they have a protein sparing effect, which Julie will explain more in detail. So I've seen many parents are going, oh, give them a lot of chicken or eggs or a lot of dals, or so don't go high protein for your kids. Maintain the carb balance, which is your child should get carbohydrate like bread, rice, chapati, upma, poha, uh, uh, whichever form of carbohydrates, at least 4 times in a day: breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner. Which is, so the brain actually functions on glucose. So
I'll tell you. I'll explain this. So carbohydrates they're the like complex carbohydrates. They enter your stomach and your digestive system, and they get broken down to the simple carbohydrates, which is your glucose. Now the glucose is what's absorbed by your body and into your blood, which fuels everything. All your energy you get from glucose to do anything and everything. All the processes in your body are dependent on the glucose that you get, that your child gets. So now your brain,
yeah.
especially the brain, 20% of the glucose that you consume is used up by your brain to be able to function at its optimum. So now, and similarly, so that's why if you end up compromising on the amount of carbohydrates you're eating, you will sort of have like difficulties in focusing,
irritation, irritability, the carbohydrates are low. So it's very, very important to make sure child is getting but good quality carbohydrate, which is like complex carbs. Don't give simple carbs too much because it spikes up the sugar level. So that is very important.
We'll be talking about the difference in the simple carbs later on.
Yeah.
But one more thing was that the protein sparing effect comes here. If your diet is going to be primarily carbohydrate dominant, and then you're going to have sufficient amount of protein, that way you're leaving the protein that you are eating to be used up for growth, for your body's growth, because protein is needed for the growth of your entire body, whether it's all your tissues in your body need protein to, because they're made up of
Organs,
it. Yeah,
skin, everything.
So now, if that's why you're going to have enough protein to be able to use it for growth. But in case you are decreasing your carbohydrates to an extent that you're not being able to fuel your entire body's functioning, your body is going to now switch over its fuel and start using the protein instead. And that is going to decrease its optimal, like the use of protein is not going to be towards growth. It's going to be now used towards just giving you energy. So therefore you're compromising your child's growth.
Another thing someone has asked, that your diet, the child's diet should not be either protein or carb. It has to be a balance of protein and carb and fiber and fats. All four is required for at least 3 major meals: breakfast, lunch and dinner. And especially for children, even the fourth meal, which is evening snack, should have some protein component. So your child diet should actually, all 4 meals should be balance of protein, fat, fiber.
Let's give them examples of what.
Yeah. So say an example diet. Sherry, shall I mention an example?
The protein, example of protein right now.
Yeah. So like what would be a sample breakfast? Can be milk and flakes. Milk, if you want to avoid flakes because it is processed, then milk and upma, milk poha, milk sandwich. It can be egg and toast also, for that matter. So that should be the breakfast.
So first is the protein sources. We tell them the carbs and then the protein. So the carbs, as we discussed, the complex carbohydrates can be bread, rice, poha, upma, roti. Okay, also the new age ones can be the quinoa that people get, couscous, all of those. Oats is also a good source of carbohydrates. Now
try to give your child brown rice if they like it. If they don't like it, it's no harm in giving white rice. You don't have to. But basmati is extra polished, and so you can stick to surti kolam or such kind of rice.
Yeah. Now protein-rich foods, they're divided into vegetarian and non-vegetarian categories. In the vegetarian categories, we have dairy products. So that is your milk.
Already spoken. Yeah.
Milk, curd, paneer. There's also tofu. There are all your dals. So all the Indian dals, whether it's kidney beans, it's moong dal, green, all of those. Then you have tofu and you have edamame. Yeah. And nuts. Nuts are a good source for vegetarians as well. Non-vegetarians, you have all the meats and you have eggs. So this is just an overview before we jump into what a balanced diet.
Yeah, so I would say the balanced diet would be for breakfast, as I mentioned, and maybe a fruit to balance the fiber. Then lunch can be, if they are in the school, since they are not in the school, they are at home, it can be rice, dal, vegetable, and maybe some yogurt. And if you're a non-vegetarian, it can be chicken and chapati and vegetable. And vegetable is very important for fiber. And so that is about the lunch. Evening snacks can be either egg or milk based along with some carbs. And then dinner can be either protein like in the chicken or dal or fish or paneer or yogurt, and with carbs and fiber. So if you maintain these 4 major meals the way it is and place them 4 hours apart, so like 9, 1, 5, 9, it gives your child enough energy. And in between you can space up with fillers like carrot sticks, cucumber sticks, nimbu pani, coconut water, buttermilk. Any of these foods can come in between as a filler, but not solid food. If you give like kurmura or something like that, then it takes away their hunger for the meal, and then they eat a very meager meal. So don't do that. So this is the basic thing.
No, but so one important thing that we wanted to tell you guys was that you have to also make sure that your children are having a lot of vegetables along with the carbs and proteins aspect of all your meals. Because the vegetables is what brings in the fiber. So it's very good for your gut. It makes you feel full. And on top of that, like a lot of the clients that come to mom, especially children, a lot of them always have just chicken and rice.
They don't eat vegetables. So you need to teach your child from young age to start eating vegetables.
Small amounts of vegetables.
And what food we should not give at all. So we call them anti-nutrient or toxic food for children. What I have seen that the most toxic food for a child is actually caffeine, which stunts their growth and causes anxiety and acidity. So caffeine, which is there in coffee and tea and Red Bull. So as a mother, I had never allowed my children to have tea, coffee till they were full growth was over. Only once in a week they were allowed to either have Coke or coffee, even aerated drinks like Coke. They're very high in caffeine, which really stunts their growth. So it's very, very important
So
for you to remember.
this is when I was a child, like when I was younger, and we really wanted to have cold coffee quite often, and she was like, no, it'll only be on Sundays, and we used to ask her why. So then she gave us a proper explanation for it, and that's when we actually ended up listening
So
eventually.
the presence of tannin and caffeine in tea and coffee does not allow the calcium to get absorbed by your gut. So that's how you don't get it for your bones. So, and the second anti-nutrient food I would say is HFCS, which is high fructose corn syrup, which is present in all bakery goods, whether you take bread or you take chocolates or you take commercially baked cakes. So it's and the aerated drinks, and even so you must teach your child to as much home food if they can have during, especially eat healthy and eat clean during this time. It's great, but of course you cannot, like, say no to totally, and like I end up eating a piece of chocolate once in a while, so it's okay. So but yeah, so that is another food which is not really good for your child. And then the 2-minute noodles, which do have an issue for your gut. So I don't allow very often to give to the kids this whatever the quick the instant
Maggi
noodles, yeah. And also you must know
So at
that
this time,
high
the snacking
fructose,
should not be on
yeah,
Maggi noodles. Don't
yeah,
keep it at home.
yeah, don't keep Maggie at home.
Sandwiches,
Yeah,
homemade
yeah,
sandwiches
yeah.
are still better as a snack, or
Don't.
like milk and flakes is still better than
Also
having
all
Maggi
the sauces which are available, like tomato ketchup, everything has high fructose corn syrup.
a lot of
Yeah, so if as much as you can promote your child to have regular uh, 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 chutneys or homemade chutneys is better than having commercially available foods.
Okay, so a lot of questions are also coming in, but before I ask you one of those, I want to check with you. Now, we can't deprive our kids, as you said.
Yeah,
Especially now, they're in lockdown, we're all stuck. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I find myself heading to the kitchen and eating all sorts of nonsense. Can you unjunk some of the popular junk foods that we can give our kids and it's okay for our kids to have?
Okay, so I would like to start this because I want to just give everyone a backstory. So since like I have two sisters, so mom has three kids, and while growing up, it was like I know moms tell you about what you should avoid, but she never ever told us like you can't eat it, or you can't order pizza, or you can't have burgers, or you can't have this, you'll put on weight, you'll do this. She never told us these things. She explained to us why it's not good for us, and then she left the choice up to us. So once a week we'd all order pizza, once a week we'd have our cold coffee, so we were all happy. There was no food that was actually completely restricted, so that later on in life, this is what I think and this is what I see in all the kids that come to us.
What we did is because it became such a big issue with my children, they wanted to have junk so often. So I wrote a book called Unjunk, which is available. And many junk food we have unjunk, especially my daughter's favorite was vada pav. So I wanted to, so why do you call a food junk is because it doesn't have much nutrients or any growth factor and any ingredient for growth for the kid. So what I did was vada pav was made. So what I did not fry the masala. I kept the potatoes intact because potato is what gives the flavor, plus the garlic and the curry patta and everything. Instead of frying it, and to add nutrition, I added paneer to the vada pav masala, and we baked it in the oven with a slice of bread or whatever. So that's how we made it, and you can put the red masala on top. It tastes yummy. We have stopped eating the other vada pav. This is what. Then the second most favorite food which we eat every week is in our house is pav bhaji. So pav bhaji is my favorite from I don't know when. When I was going for a delivery, so my husband said, "Ki now you're going to be in a hospital and you're not going to get any food. What do you want to eat?" I said, "Please make me eat pav bhaji." That was the favorite of pav bhaji. So pav bhaji again is junk food because the vegetables are overcooked and it's only vegetables and it's only bread, so it's carbs and carbs. So what I did is you can either add little tofu or paneer or moong. What I do is add little moong which you don't even taste it and reduce the amount of potato. So the nutritional quotient of the pav bhaji becomes higher. And if you take a pav and you cut it into 3 slices, so you also reduce the amount of bread you have with it. So that's how we unjunk pav bhaji. Then we get sev puri. Sev puris was another favorite. I wanted to have it every week, and my kids love it. So we had a version of sev puri where the masala is same, chutney is same, upar ka sev is also there. Only the base we changed it to either carrot or cucumber slices, which tastes yummy. Trust me, it doesn't taste so bad. So that's another food I enjoy. And then pizza.
Lebanese pizza.
So what we did is we got the pita bread, or we made actually we just made a pizza at home recently. So what we did is that we made a chapati and we just added little soda to it and we baked it and let it fluff and without yeast. And then we made the pizza masala, which is very tasty. It's available on internet. And then instead of grating paneer cheese on it, so we baked it and then we grated cheese or paneer on it. That's how we unchunked. Or to bring the another way of, instead of putting that red sauce, Italian sauce on pizza, you can also put hummus to increase the
Because
nutrition.
hummus is primarily, it's protein, and
it's protein. So that's how many recipes we have unchunked, even burger. So
this is something you could actually work with your kids
Yeah.
to be able to devise these recipes at home. So actually understand the foods that they love, like how mom understood the foods that we love, and then she added a nutritional quotient to it and made it at home. So eventually they don't have an aversion to foods. When they grow up, they don't have like an aversion saying, I can't eat burger, I can't eat this, and then they overeat or binge on that. You don't want the situation to reach that extent. So that's why you just help them and collaborate with them together to create recipes that are healthy and at the same time that like tickle their taste buds.
yeah.
So, Suman, I'm going to ask you a question. One of the parents asked, since you talked about milk. Why is it said that milk generates mucus in the body?
So
Sure.
it's to each its own. There's certain people are not very good with the milk. They are not able to digest. Those people have a problem with, like, I am lactose intolerant. My body does not react well to milk. But that's not the same with her, because her body is different. So you have to see which body it suits and which body does not suit. But it's not for everyone. Like, it's like how our fingertips are all different. The same way every body is different. So you have to see what milk suits you and then take it.
The same for some people get very bloated when they have kidney beans or chole, the bigger beans, right? But not everybody does. The same way it goes for milk. So milk suits some people, milk doesn't suit some people.
Right. Also,
So
another-
it's sorry about this. Any food which you're allergic to, which does not agree with your body, is going to have a reaction in your body. So if you are allergic to milk, you'll have a reaction of mucus. Like, I'm allergic to chana dal. As soon as I have chana dal, I have reaction into my body by having some eruptions on the face. So it's like I'm allergic to mango, so I'll have eruptions. So it's the same thing. So it's not milk itself, so any food can have a reaction on the body.
okay. What is your view on white tea and green tea for kids? Another parent's asking.
So as I mentioned, that
know, I mean, brilliant, but
yeah.
yeah.
So green tea or any teas have caffeine, whether it's whichever tea you take, they all have caffeine until it's decaf. So which does not allow folic acid and calcium to get absorbed. And in fact, it is any kind of tea, especially green tea, is not even allowed during pregnancy, because that is the time you really require folic acid levels to be high. And even the kids, when they are, folic acid is one vitamin which helps you to multiplicate the cells. So, and the children are at the growing stage, they need that multiplication in the body, in the brain. So whichever tea, don't give until it's a decaf.
Okay.
Maybe once
So-
once a week again. Yeah.
So actually, there's another valid, not valid, I mean, most of us deal with this with our kids and even ourselves. What are the remedies for constipation? Because now they're even drinking lesser water, being at home and barely having any activity. So what would you say should be their water intake and maybe some other tips to ensure that they're not getting constipated and they're comfortable?
So water intake, I agree, is one of the, we both actually really believe in water intake being high through the day. It doesn't have to be abnormally high to like 3 liters, 4 liters a day, just between one
Child needs like between 1 to 2 liters.
2 liters. Now what people forget is that the water intake is not only just plain water. What other things that do make up your water intake are also like nimbu pani, chas, and coconut water. So if your child is not going to drink water throughout the day, you can give them these drinks in the middle. So there can be a coconut water in the morning, a nimbu pani in the afternoon, and probably a glass of chas in the evening.
So for constipation, which a lot of people suffer because the movements are restricted, so making sure there is some kind of an activity even at home. Secondly, some certain vegetables are high in fiber, which is ladyfinger, then methi leaf, which is fenugreek leaves, and you can have boiled beetroot ka slices 3 to 4 with dinner. You can have what else? Flax seeds. So roasted and grounded flaxseed, 1 tablespoon
You can
before
just
sleeping.
for children, you can always add it in their dals or any sort of liquid preparation.
And
so they don't taste it.
so there are certain food which has soluble fiber, which really moves your gut, is dals. So make sure your child has 1 katori dal in a day if the child is having a problem of this. Second food which is very rich in soluble fiber is oats. So milk and oats is a great addition to your child's diet, or oats upma or oats sheela, anything like that.
Okay, so another question is how healthy is dosa and also idlis for kids, and how many times can we give them in a week? Because that's these are the 2 favorite meals kids love.
So idli and dosa both are fermented, and it is not unhealthy to give to the children. You just have to balance it with protein, in the sense dosa with sambar, idli also with sambar. That's how traditionally the food is being served. So it causes bloating, but it is not unhealthy. In fact, it's very good to build good gut bacteria. The fermented food really builds your gut bacteria. So once a week is what normally everyone follows in a week. Yeah.
One of the main concerns for a lot of parents, and we've got some questions here also, is sleep. Kids are just not sleeping when they should. They're like awake till 2, 3, then the whole schedule gets disrupted. So are there any foods they can eat that could, kind of help them relax and calm down and then go to sleep, release some endorphins?
Yeah. So there are certain food which are rich in, so you must know why the children are not sleeping, because we have one hormone in our brain which gets secreted by pineal gland called melatonin, which is secreted at a time in the night after the sun goes down, because that's the cycle you have. It's called circadian rhythm. Now that melatonin gets easily disturbed by light from the screen, whether it's laptop, whether it's phone, whether it's TV. So you have to restrict your child's screen time 30 minutes before the sleep time. So that is very, very, very important. You must know this. And the food which can actually help you to secrete more melatonin are nuts and fruits, certain fruits like berries, like raspberries, and so blueberries, berries, and certain berries, and milk, of course, gives you good sleep. So these are the food a child should be given at night. And of course, caffeine, absolutely no. But main thing is that you have to remove the screen time of the child's phone. And another thing is that phone when you're charging, it should be not face up, face down, because the light from the phone also, when it lights up in the night, can also disturb. So these are the things you have to remember. What I have done in my family to make sure that everyone is following some kind of a routine in their daily this thing. So we have a system that everyone meets at 9:30, quarter to 10 for breakfast. Lunch is between 1:30 to 2, and dinner we all have together 8:39. So we don't allow only the children who are not studying abroad, because they have night classes, to sleep till late. You need to have certain rules that breakfast time is this and everyone has to wake up, otherwise we pay penalty, by the way. 1,000 rupees in the jar. We have
Which
to
is going to
pay.
go for some.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So this way, no matter what, we understand that there is a lockdown and every day seems like a Sunday, but have some discipline and some routine yourself. If you have to be the example, every parent has to be example, follow the breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner time properly, and sleep cycle. Even if you are sleeping late, make sure you wake up and you wake up your child for some kind of an activity in the morning. You think about yourself. I don't remember I was allowed to sleep till late when I was young. So why are we allowing our children to? I mean, my children cannot be sleeping when the breakfast is served. There's no way. So be little strict about, especially about this factor. You can demand that from your child and tell them, sorry, this is the breakfast time and you have to wake up to eat, unless they are studying abroad and they have classes at night.
Since we are talking about screen time, yes, it has greatly increased. And it's not only because they're at home, but we also have online schooling, which obviously can't be helped in such a situation. Is there something you recommend to counter the possible side effects of this additional screen time? Are there any, should they be eating more of certain kinds of foods because their eyes are really so strained?
So we were trying to figure, we actually came up with a recipe during this lockdown that helps with good eye health. So some of the few vitamins or nutrients that are good are your lutein, your zeaxanthin, nitrates, and vitamin A, of course. So based on these, we came up with a little recipe.
Yeah.
So that was
but basically all these vitamins, what the zeaxanthin does is this. Can you explain that? Which all these vitamins have an effect on the eye and they help in the vision. So
we had zeaxanthin and lutein are present in your eggs. Okay. Then you have it in nuts and seeds as well. You have vitamin A in spinach and carrots, as we discussed earlier, beetroot, all of that.
Nitrate is rich, yeah.
And nitrates is beetroot and spinach. So any foods or any recipe that could include these foods could help them with their eye health, because a few of these, like nitrates and
pulses,
lutein and zeaxanthin, they've all been researched by multiple
companies.
Companies, and where they've
clinics.
Actually seen how it helps with, in a long term, with age related changes, helps prevent that for a little older people. So we're trying to use that as an incentive to be able to do that right now, to hopefully reverse any damage that's been done by looking at the laptop for a long time.
Yeah. So another thing is that what certain exercise a child can do, my mother made me do every day when I was a child, because of course when you're growing, even the eyes grow. So one is that every 20 minutes, make sure your child does not look at the screen and look something 20 feet away. Okay, focus something 20 feet away for 20 seconds and then comes back to the screen. That is one thing. Secondly, keep warm water with this thing and just dab your eyes every 30 minutes, or go to the toilet, just refresh your eyes. And the third thing is certain eye exercises which your child should do every day, which is simple. You just look right and left, right extreme corner, then left extreme corner at least 10 times, then look right up and down at least 10 times, and then do rounds like this at least 5 times this way and 5 times this way. This should be a routine for your child every morning to do. It's very, very important. So these are the things. And one recipe which we did for a company was, I think it was masala moong dal spinach masala dosa. So the masala had beetroot and carrot and of course potato and some masala and spinach, and was grinded in the moong dal, what was soaked, to batter. And then I think with recipes there on YouTube,
peanut chutney.
And peanut chutney to include this. And this was like devoured by the whole, nothing was left. So this is how you add more of beetroot and more of pulse or carrots in your child's diet, it will help. And the nuts, about nuts, I wanted to tell you this standard rule. Everyone should have one fistful of nut. If your child fistful, not your fistful, the child has to eat nuts, it's his or her fistful, and you for yours, and your husband is theirs, because everyone fist is different. So it depends on your own fist. One fistful nut is important in a day.
A lot of parents are asking, protein is important for kids. What happens to picky and fussy eaters if they're not really eating or not drinking their milk? Would you recommend some supplement? Are you in favor of whey protein or any other plant-based protein supplement for such kids, or you just feel it should?
No. So I have spoken to about this to doctors, and I have realized that children should not it's like, they should be discouraged from taking artificial protein supplements, because ultimately it's the bone which has to grow, and it has to grow on natural food, not preservative added foods. So it's better to take, like, children don't require much protein. It's 600 ml milk. If you make it into paneer and give it in any form, palak paneer, matar paneer, make paneer parantha, paneer toasty, it's done. And it's like this much paneer only comes out of 600. It's this much paneer you have to add. And that's almost like between 20 to 24 grams of protein, and everyone carbohydrate have some protein. So it's okay. You need to somehow get through your child, counsel him, but don't give artificial protein.
And we have quite a few sports parents
Yeah.
who are asking, and I think one of them is a vegetarian. So what would be a vegetarian diet for kids who play sports 5 times a day?
So even for the sport, the requirement is not protein, it's carbohydrates. And vegetarian meals are rich in carbohydrates. So like my Juhi is a doctor, and she was even in DY Patil, she was even in every sport possible, whether it was cricket or whether it was basketball or volleyball. So the only thing I used to give to her, of course, her milk and everything was balanced. Her meals were balanced with some protein, but just before the event or after the event, nimbu pani with sugar and salt, glucose water, burger, sandwich is what child require. Not really high protein diet. Not really.
Okay. And another sports parent is asking, are there any supplements you'd recommend for teenage athletes?
Athletes.
Yeah.
So yeah. So supplement I think B complex with zinc is very good, because they require for the zinc is also important for the growth, and B complex. So that's all is what we would give to a child.
Yeah,
and if the children are vegetarian, and so another vitamin they should take is fish oil capsule, because if they are vegetarian and they won't get omega, so that is another vitamin I would.
And we just discussed what omega is. Omega fatty acids, everybody must be knowing, like cod liver oil or any type of fish oil supplement. Those actually are very, very important for your child's brain health. Even adults, we tell everybody to take one omega supplement if you are not eating
Eyes
oily
and
fish.
brain,
Yeah,
both, yeah.
eyes and brain both. So that is actually a very
And it's
important
also
point.
where salmon oil especially is very good for the knee health too.
Okay, and this is another topic we've discussed. Parents asking, is white bread, a lot of kids are having sandwiches, so should they be having only multigrain or brown bread, or is white bread okay? Because now in this lockdown we have to eat whatever we get. So harmful.
So actually what I wanted to tell you that we are all roti eaters. So of course, encourage your child for lunch and dinner to have chapatis. Besides that, if they were having white bread is also fine. In fact, white bread has less preservatives as compared to multigrain and whole wheat bread. I'm not saying whole wheat bread and multigrain bread are bad, but white bread is not that bad as it's made out to be. So it's okay to have white bread.
And how good are add-on powders like Horlicks, Bonvita, etc. and milk? Are parents asking this?
Yeah, so if a child is like Bonvita has more milk solutes and other vitamins, so it's okay to have Bonvita and added in the milk, especially if your child is very fussy and not growing well. So it's okay to add, but I'm not too fond of these additives in the milk. I would rather add a fruit or something like that. But if your child is really used to Bonvita and all, it's okay. But I don't prefer to really promote these products. Horlicks is still okay. Yeah.
Going back to supplements, a parent is asking her, their child is an international sports player, and the coach has asked her to take Isopure protein powder. Is it really required?
How old is the child?
Our child is around 16, almost 16.
Yeah. So no, I don't. As I mentioned, I'm not in favor of these. I would rather
until age 18.
Yeah. So we consult a lot of international standard, international athletes. Like we have clients who are like playing competitive badminton national level, swimmers national level, boating. and even car racing. So we have never given ever. We have tried to manage in the diet, but sometimes because they have long, what you call
With convenience. So I
for
think,
convenience
yeah.
sake, we give not isopure. We give like the meal replacement bars, because say they have event after event and they have to finish their meal in like say 5 minutes. So and if they don't have the carrying so much food to their event, then we give them meal replacement bars, which really work well, which has a balance of protein, carbs, fats, and fiber.
You should be, what mom is trying to say is that they should be getting the protein from their diet primarily, and that is it's not very hard to do. You don't need an unimaginable amount of protein as compared to carbohydrates in your diet, especially for kids till the age of 18. Once you become an adult, then it's a different ball game altogether. But
for muscle, weightlifting is a different thing. Then we require
but
to buff up.
Till then, even having 1 cup of dal or beans twice a day for vegetarians,
and having 800 ml of, like a child is 16 years old, he'll require minimum 800 to a liter of milk protein to grow tall, because the boys grow up till the age of 21 to 22. So they require it. So that 1 liter milk itself gives around 35 grams of protein.
Another question from a mom. Her child is in the 4th and is type 1 diabetic. Fermented foods like idli, dosa and dokla, do they raise blood sugar?
So any rice product will raise blood sugar too. So type 1 diabetics is a very different ball game to handle. What we tell for diabetics is don't give them any rice products, is idli, dosa, poha, kurmura, and rice.
It depends on so I've actually studied this recently, where we both were going through a research article which actually showed that these foods can be eaten, but the carb counting has to be done.
Carb counting.
So you have to, for type 1 diabetics specifically, you need to carb count, and based on that give them the insulin dose. So these foods, even though they do, like mom said, will spike up your sugars as compared to eating the whole grain versions. So you should choose the whole grain versions as compared to the white rice. But if they are insisting as a child and they really are pushing for eating these, you can include it a couple of times a week.
But the sugar levels will rise.
So now there is this one interesting question which is not for the kids. A mom has asked for parents, and I'm asking you because then we're going to link it to a question I had for the kids. So the mom's asking, any suggestions for mothers to maintain their calcium and vitamin levels since they're doing all the housework?
So the best source of calcium for anyone is milk. Why it is milk or curd or paneer is because the calcium from milk is in its highest absorbable form. Of course, you need vitamin D. So if you're having some amount of curd or this thing, it is good for you. But make sure you're don't count the milk which comes in your tea, because that calcium does not get absorbed. Okay. Now, so if you want to take a supplement for the same, you can take a very small dose of calcium magnesium supplement, which helps you to maintain your bone, this thing. But any weight bearing if you're having enough calcium in your diet, but if you're not doing any form of exercise, you're still going to leach calcium, which is any weight bearing exercise which has an impact like this will absorb calcium from your diet to your bones. So
all the household chores are working.
Household chores are working.
So we've spoken about this before, how chores, besides burning calories, they also
it makes your bone strong.
Not just that, they kind of
and they should reduce their tea coffee. Of course, too much tea coffee, I don't know, I should not say I have 4 cups in a day.
No, so now I'm linking this to the kids. How important? I want the parents to know why it's important to get the kids to do household chores. It's not only because it kind of inculcates a sense of responsibility and everything. It also burns a lot of calories, correct? So can we tell our parents out here what 1 hour of different chores, how many...
Of an ideal, So Juhi?
So
for a person who's around between 50 to 70 kgs. So sweeping around 250 to 300 calories sweeping, and dusting will be around 200 calories per hour, and sitting and cleaning vegetables will be 80 to 100 calories per hour, and sitting down on the floor and doing sweeping is going to be 350 calories per hour. So it's all good. And I do believe that you have to include child in the household work, not only to keep them busy. This is the best time to usko bolte na aate चावल का दाल पता होना चाहिए. So you should teach your child about all vegetables, all dals, everything. So make your child more interactive at home and homework, and give them some errands to do, which is going to be good for their mental health and your mental health.
Given the restriction in movement due to the lockdown, what kind of exercise would you suggest kids do, and for how long in a day do they have to do an exercise?
So for exercise, this is something that mom again says, that she's like, you should try to explain to your child the importance of some sort of physical activity at this age so they can carry it forward for life. Now in this lockdown, because kids are not playing and they have so much pent up energy, and like, you know, they want to move around and do something or the other, you could devise different games, the games that you play outside probably at home. For like really young kids, I was reading up where they do something like an animal walk, or like you have to involve your kids in it. You have to do it with them. You can't expect them to do it by themselves. You have to involve them and make them make it like a game, or make it something interactive.
Treasure hunt.
Yeah, treasure hunt, obstacle course, all of these things for the younger age group. Then for the teenagers, there are lots of online classes for
even Tata Sky has.
Yeah, Tata Sky also has a lot for yoga, or whether it is for Zumba or any sort of dance.
Bollywood dance classes.
Yeah, so lots of people are doing things online. So just be more like, look out for all the information that you find online, and do it with your child, because that's only when they're going to be motivated to do something like this.
I do one exercise every day, sometimes with Juhi, sometimes another one. We do partner workouts. So you need to, I don't believe that everyone wants to just give up exercise at the drop of a hat. I always believe that exercise has to be the way of life, not by the way. Okay, it's convenient, so let's do it today.
Okay, I know. Can you suggest some home remedy for even smaller kids to build their immunity as they get colds and coughs really often?
Yeah, so I believe during COVID time, I had given a video, I think on say 15th or 17th of March, that taking steam really helps, which is very important. If you think your child is very prone to cold and cough, and during the season change especially, your child and you're at home, so how does it matter? Steaming, you can put 1 or 2 drops of eucalyptus, otherwise just like that is also, or Vicks VapoRub. So that's one way. Gargling, if your child can do gargling. These are the 2 important things. Adding, like giving them a turmeric latte if they agree. So, you know, give them fancy name, not haldi doodh. Tell them turmeric latte and they will love it. So give them that. And what else? Yeah, I believe in this, which I have done for my children forever, is the Shitopladi. Shitopladi is one churn, or it's a powder available from 2 brands called Dabur and Jhandu, and that I used to give to my children first thing in the morning. Half teaspoon of that, mix up 2 teaspoon of honey, and just have it like a chutney, and then top it up with a cup of hot milk. Really used to work wonders. I don't know when I have given my children cough syrup, only this. And 7 days of this after they get cough and cold, and they are good. And so that's what we give. Yeah.
Okay. There's another parent who has 2 kids, 10 and 5 years, and practically after every lunch or dinner time, they say their tummy is full, but within an hour they want some biscuits or chips. So what is the tip you can give?
They probably they're not having enough protein in that meal, right?
So what happens if your meal is not having proper balance of protein?
Yeah. So like if you're doing something just like rice and vegetables or roti and chapati, and your kid is not having the dal or the paneer or the curd to go with it, that's possibly why they are feeling hungry very quickly. Because if it's just carb dominant, it passes through your system very quickly and it gets absorbed.
The sugar spikes.
Yeah. So versus when you're having something, you're adding protein to your food, that's when you actually delay the absorption of the sugars. And that's why you end up, it's slowly releasing sugars in your blood. So you're having enough energy and you don't feel hungry in an hour.
Also, if your meal is very low in fat, So fat leaves your system in 3 hours. So if your meal is very low in fat, that also causes the stomach emptying to be fast and they feel hungry. So when they are hungry, no, tell them to have water. Tell them it's summer, just give them water. Or give them cucumber sticks, give them carrot
You have
sticks.
fillers. You can make
Yeah.
fillers really interesting. You can do
Fruits.
You can do fruits. You can do peanut butter bites with
Yeah.
this thing. These are all the newer foods that are coming up. You can do hummus and veggie sticks. That's a new way of also making them have some veggies through the day. Just make it a little interesting for them, because you also have to understand that they're looking at so many things online and they're like, wow, I want to eat this.
Okay, we just have time for two more questions. One is, since you very specifically mentioned proteins in terms of milk, cheese, paneer, curd, what happens if the child is prone to a cough and cold? Is it okay to give them all these products? Because a lot of people think when you have a cold, you should be avoiding all of this.
You can just avoid curd
Only
at
curd,
night.
yeah.
Curd
Only
at
curd,
night,
yeah.
and but the rest of the day it should be fine. You can possibly, instead of doing cold milk, do hot milk.
Yeah. And put little haldi.
Okay. And one last question to you is, finally, what are your top 3 tips to ensuring kids are doing mentally and physically okay during this lockdown period? What should we be doing as parents?
So my first tip is, I have seen that it's very, very important to maintain a routine. Maintain your breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner time, and make sure child shows up. That's the first thing. Second most important thing is to for them to sleep well. Don't allow any screen after, like, say, if the child is sleeping at 11, then 10:30. If your child is sleeping at 10, then 9:30. That's the second most important thing. And third most important thing I would say is, uh, you know, become their friend, because they are missing their friends. They are so used to their friends all the time. They interact with them, they play with them, they meet them in the school. So become their friend and play games with them. We have a ritual of playing one board game every day. Right now we are on Catan, Settlers of Catan. So do some activity with them. So that's what is going to help them to come out of this properly. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Atan. I think, for those whose questions haven't been answered, I think you can write to Suman at selfcareindia.com. And you guys are also delivering, right? They're also delivering their books. Some parent asks about nutrition books. Super Kids is...
Yeah, we are delivering. They can call this number. Shall I give a number out for? No.
But I'm saying
Email, yeah.
Super Kids has recipes.
Yeah, recipes and all the facts about what should be the night munchies, what are anti-nutrients, what should be their diet. It's for teens and children both.
So and on the self-care website, you can order this, and they're still delivering it, including snacks. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Your mother-daughter duo have been absolutely exemplary in proving how parental influence percolates down. I mean, here is living example of the zest and enthusiasm with which you've used your knowledge to the benefit of not only your immediate family, but as you are doing now, for society at large. So we've been very, very blessed to have you on here with us today, because not only have you very patiently answered all the questions being asked, but you have given such thorough practical examples, so that leaves no room for doubt or confusion. That's been very, very helpful. My personal favorite, of course, has been the unjunking, particularly the pav bhaji bit. Mung is definitely, the addition of mung is definitely going to happen in the Gandhi household very soon. I hate to admit this, but you've also made the idea of sweeping my house more than the requisite once a day actually seem very appealing right now. As our principal, Ms. Zeenat Bojabai, always says, vitamin L is something that is a very crucial component towards self-care, and that is love. So the love that you have indicated through your words, through your books, through your guidelines, and the love that in the bargain we have learned to have for our own children and for ourselves is going to be very, very effective in handling current situations. Thank you so much for all of that. Sherry,
Thank you,
you've been a
Sonal. Thank you.
Sherry, you've been a wonderful moderator. And if I may, I know that you are personally extremely invested in the well-being of not only your teenage son, but also of all the young and older kids around. And that is what has made it possible to have this webinar for everyone here today. Thank you for your enthusiastic involvement. If I may take the liberty of sharing with our attendees here as a further explanation to your question about how to counter excessive screen time, particularly now, we have something coming up very soon, which is going to lead you through vision workout. So please do look out for those details and do sign up in large numbers. It's not just the kids, it's all of us who are looking at our screens a lot more than we usually do and will benefit tremendously from that. Thank you to all the people involved in making these webinars happen. Once again, our deepest gratitude to Mr. Sujay Jairaj in particular, as well as everyone else at the management of Narsi Monji Educational Trust for creating this platform whereby so many are being able to enrich their lives further. Thank you everyone for attending here today. We look forward to seeing you in larger numbers for our future webinars. And as promised, based on your reactions and responses, we are very excited about bringing one more Sunday musical session your way. So do sign up for that quickly and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.